Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. How are you this fine, beautiful, but cold day? I know it's probably warmer where some of you are, but it's colder where too. So I'm just looking out over a beautiful ocean. A little cold, a little windy, but we're good. We're good. Our quote of the day is: you start and end your day, be thankful for every little thing in your life. You will come to realize how blessed you truly are. My name is Wendy. I'm your hostess. I guess I should tell you all that, huh? I'm the owner of Taxpectations. We are a bookkeeping, accounting, and all things taxes firm. Taxes, which is a lot of what we're going to be discussing today. Tax issues, tax preparation, tax letters, IRS, state, and all kinds of other tax stuff. You can find me on Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Twitter. The tweet thing, doing the tweet thing. Either look for me, Wendy Cassera, or find Taxpectations, and you can find me. We do free consultations for people, business owners, and other people to find out if what we can do for you is what you need. Of course, we know it is because, I'm awesome and we just know it works that way. But, other people need assurances, and you can find me. I thought I would deal a little bit today with some tax preparation, some places to find things, some things you needed to know. But I also wanted to kind of go through I have what's called a preparer checklist, and it's kind of a checklist of things that I have to ask, things I have to go through, et cetera, et cetera. And one of the biggest questions that I get, and most often questions, is what do I need to bring to an appointment with my tax preparer? So I thought I would spend today answering that question. I ran across, I pulled up my own because I have two. I have a preparer tax checklist and a client intake interview list that I use for my own purposes, and I kind of ran across a couple others that other taxpayers use, but it looks more like expensive than budgeted. So I'm going to kind of stick to what I have because I like it. And you like it too, because that's the beauty of it. It's my show, so I get to say that. You like it too. Anyhow, it's a little bit different than any other year because of all the healthcare thing. So it's really, really super important when you go to see your professional that you bring your healthcare information, whether or not you or anyone in your family has or does not have healthcare coverage for all of the months of 2014, because we are required to break it down per month. So we need to know that. If you went onto the healthcare marketplace, they gave you a form. If they gave you coverage, there's a form called 1095A. If they didn't, they will give you an exemption form, and we're going to talk about the exemption here shortly, whether or not you qualified for the exemption form. If you have your own health care, Blue Cross Blue Shield, one of those others, as well as did you make any contributions or receive distributions from a health savings account, an Archer MSA, other medical savings account? So all of these questions need to be covered and taken care of on the healthcare information. And I'm going to give you a little bit of information I found out. The Affordable Care Act requires you and each member of your family to have minimal essential coverage. We talked about this before, and I'm sure you've all heard it on the news and everywhere else. You can't kind of get away from it. If you meet certain criteria, you may be exempt from the requirement to have the qualifying health coverage, and I wanted to kind of go over what qualifies that exemption, and then talk about what's going to happen in the future as well. How you get coverage exemption depends upon the type of exemption for which you are eligible. You can attain some exemptions only from the marketplace. Others can happen when you actually file your tax return. Exemptions, you may be exempt if the minimum amount you must pay for the annual premiums is more than 8% of your household income. If you have a gap in coverage that is less than 3 consecutive months, in other words, if you had coverage for 9 months and 1 day, you could be exempt. You can also qualify for an exemption for one of other several reasons. A hardship that prevents you from obtaining coverage, belonging to a group that explicitly causes you to be exempt from the requirement, and you know there are this and that and the other thing. There are reasons. That's why they're called exceptions and exemptions. If you are granted a coverage exemption from the marketplace, they will send you a notice with your unique exemption certificate number, an ECN. The ECN is the number that I will use as a tax preparer to put on your tax return so that you don't get charged fines and penalties and all the other part of stuff. If you have not got your certification number, however, you've been on the marketplace and you know you're exempt, then we can also mark pending in that column. But you need to have at least been on the marketplace and found that out. You don't get to just guess. If your income is below your filing threshold and you are not required to file a tax return at all, you are probably eligible for an exemption and don't have to file a tax return just to claim it. Again, there are other things. If you need more specifics, please get a hold of me and we will discuss them. And remember, you have until the end of day tomorrow to get your marketplace health insurance coverage for 2015, because in 2015 it goes way, way up as far as fines, penalties, and fees are concerned. So make sure that you get on by tomorrow and get that taken care of, or that you have contacted someone, Blue Cross Blue Shield or someone else. Get the coverage before it becomes too late in 2015, because the fines and penalties go way up. So there's my nickel's worth of free advice. So we're going to go back on to the tax repair checklist. The next thing is your income. Is we want to be able to find out what kind of income you have. And income forms usually come either a W-2 or a 1099. Now there are lots and lots of different 1099s. There's 1099 miscellaneous. There's 1099 for rentals is also a miscellaneous. There are pensions and retirements are considered a 1099-R. Your Social Security form is a Social Security 1099. Your interest and dividends, those come on their own 1099 form. And usually miscellaneous stuff like jury duty, gambling winnings, and all that, those are a different 1099 form, as well as your unemployment, your state or your state tax refund. Also keep in mind that alimony received is considered income and must be reported, so make sure you bring that. 1099-B is for sales, stocks, mutual funds, that kind of thing, but it is also a barter form. If you belong to one of these barter companies, you need to make sure and bring that along. So those are the kind of reporting for income. You also have deductions and credits to your income, and that's when the self-employed health insurance or the health savings account comes into effect. If you have IRAs, SEPs, other retirement credits, retirement savers credits, adoption expense, those are all deductions and or credits to income. So make sure you have those amounts. Also things like the education expenses, which include the American Opportunity Lifetime Learning or student loan interest expenses. So anything that you're paying out of your pocket for schooling, as long as it has to do with your business, that goes as a business expense. But if you're going to university, colleges, and that sort of thing to get a degree, that's where that comes into effect. Again, we talked about total alimony paid. That is a type of income. Also, make sure that your child care and your daycare credits are also a deduction/credit to your income. You must have the name, address, Social Security, or tax ID number of the provider and the amount paid per child. Other deductions and credits to your income are the estimated taxes that you paid for each federal and state. And you need to make sure that you notate which you sent to federal and which to state, and the date you made the payment and the exact amount each payment was. Those all have to be marked so that the IRS can find those payments and make sure they go against your tax return. Also, as all of you know, there is the option to have itemized deductions on your tax return. So we're going to talk a little bit about those. And I know I'm kind of skimming the surface. There is a lot more to all of this, and there's a lot more detail. And you are more than welcome to contact me, and I can go over any tax preparer that you find is going to be able to go through these better. But it at least gives you a list. And as well, please note on my website, www.taxpectations.com, there is a checklist there that you can download for free, so please feel free to go there and bring that checklist with all your documentation to our meeting, and you'll get your taxes done much more quickly if you have all your documents. Itemized deductions. First, medical. The first line item on the itemized deductions is medical. These are medical and dental bills. So your anything that you paid out of pocket. This does not include bills that you received that your insurance company is paying or any of that. It's out of pocket. Out of pocket expenses also include hearing aids, glasses, contact lenses, lab fees, prescriptions. Also think about medical miles. If you are someone that has a lot of medical appointments, you have to go somewhere out of town, especially for medical care, dialysis, chemotherapy, just all those different kinds of unpleasant treatments. If you have a lot of mileage, keep track of that medical mileage, which does have to be kept track separate than your business mileage, is also a tax deduction. And then make sure that your medical, dental, and long-term care insurance premium cover your medical. The next thing is your interest. You form 8 for mortgage. If you own a house or a big property like that, mortgage interest you pay, that is deductible. A lot of times they will also put on there the mortgage insurance premiums and the real estate taxes paid. So you need to keep track of that, and that goes to our next one. The next item in the itemized deductions are taxes. Prior year state tax paid, personal property tax paid, property tax you pay on your vehicle, for instance, all those kind of things. Real estate tax, which if you'll get any city, local, and other taxes that you pay. The next on the list is charitable contributions. Now, charitable contributions are broken up into a couple of parts. And the part is anything that you pay cash or check to. So that includes tithing to church. That includes buying a check or that goes in the one part of the charitable contributions. The next are an itemized listing of all non-cash donations. Again, those have to have the receipt of the Goodwill, Salvation Army, and those. In there, and you get audited. There's no difference in many emails. So make sure the date that you made the contribution. Okay. So the next not all including. There are industry specific deductions, all kinds of different things that you can get. Keeping in mind this area. Business income, business owned, commissions paid. That includes and pay tax deductible. Fees paid, or equipment that you have. Things uh, license fee or tax, business license, the tax that you have to pay to get your business up and running. Association dues, which I kind of put those together with dues and publications, except in cases where it's like dues and that sort of thing. Meals and entertainment, hotel and travel expense, key take you to your knowledge base so you can run your business better. Also, make sure that you keep track of your business, but there are a lot of ways that you can mile of your business. Mileage is a very, very big deduction, especially for service-based businesses and those people who work out of their homes and go purchase any apps as a computer and other you need to do a business. For assets, you need the date to purchase some of them, and I know I kind of ran through them really fast. Again, go on to www. It's $13,000 individual, then they need to know that important. Again, back to education. Did the taxpayer or spouse or any dependent attend a post-secondary school during the year or coming year? Again, credits are available for that, so it's important to know. Did your spouse have a property foreclosed on, have a short sale, or relinquish a property and gains and loss? People as there are not children. I have one client. She has an 18-year-old at home but works part time. The summer, I believe, only makes, I think she said, maybe up to $5,000 in a given year. But she lives at home, goes to school full time, is generally coming home on. She should have that. Her 18-year-old filed her own tax return, but on the box that can you make someone else? She marked yes, and we took the exemption as a dependent on the parent's tax return. So it's one of the kinds. Get to take children. I'm definitely sure you put that in writing. Who gets it's really a lot of work for you and your taxpayer. Should you decide you're going to attempt to jump claim on your kids before your spouse gets them, because then there's a big back and forth paperwork battle over who gets them, who doesn't get them. Can not sure who gets the kids. And one thing is very important when you go to your number tax ID, all of that, date of birth. Data is important because credits and deductions are dependent upon ages of children, adults, etc. So please make sure that you bring that information when you come to. You can make sure that it's usually 10 to 2 weeks tops to get a direct deposit run instead of 6 weeks for them to mail. If you're going to get disclaimer anymore that you provide as a tax responsible for your own tax return. So make sure you go somewhere where it's going to be done right and that you're comfortable with. A couple of things about tax returns. One of them is the alternative minimum tax, and a lot of people don't know about this or ignore it altogether, and it should be ignored. But that you have to pay if your income is above a certain amount. Also help that are deductible. You may have to alternative minimum tax taxable income plus an adjustment more than your exemption amount. Your filing status determines the amount of your if you made more amounts you are eligible with if your W is missing and you until February 23rd, you should have received them. If you after February, the identity going on this season is started off with a whole bang. Make sure that if you have been a victim of identity theft in the past and you have that special PIN number that you give it to your taxpayer. Otherwise, a lot of things going on. The IRS decided they're going to allow free refund some of the issues. I don't know that it will, but they're hoping it will, and the veritable font of hope, right? In the last 18 months to tax return, the IRS and FD just released an article that the TurboTax software was hacked, and there were a lot of people's information was stolen, and their information used to file some or other ways of tracking hours before they different. And this article, they're now investing the possibility for federal tax repair and aware. Facts and facts. And I want to start there, am I talking about early? It is a lot less stressful on one of the things I'm offering is for the month of February, if you make an appointment in your tax work in February, you get 10% off. Your total 10% off. In the show that you heard it here or Facebook, because I'm going to post this on my website. So if you mentioned it, most of my appointment telephone. This technology, you send your paperwork, email it to me, back to me, you talk it to me. There's lots of different ways to do that. I simply don't have enough time to go to every single client, take up the work, do their tax return, and take it back. So we're doing it will still in a timely manner, and you don't have to sort through all those happy receipts. And there's lots of different size envelopes and boxes in the world. So never you mind how big it is. We specialize in shoebox. So I April 1st, you will be an extension filed on your behalf. I will not be taking late work and staying up till in the morning before taxes. I'm working hard. I will always work hard for my clients. Tax season comes at the same time every year, people, and we need to be prepared. Let's get out of the way for the stress and the rest of a very successful year.
It might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without.
On this fine day. Enjoy where you are. It is Valentine's Day, by the way. Valentine's Day. Enjoy the loves in your life, whether they be your spouse, significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, or whether they just be family and your children. Those are all wonderful loves. Your family, your brothers, your sisters, and